What will you see on an African safari? When should you go? And what experiences can't you miss for this kind of bucket list trip? That's what we were talking about today on Vacations Live. If you've always wanted to do an African safari, stay with me as we talk all about this incredible travel experience. Hello, travelers. I am Mandy Horn with the Traveling Compass and Global Dream Vacations, bringing you the very best in global luxury inspiration. And today we are talking about African safaris, a classic bucket list trip that so many people have on their list of things they want to do. And that's what we're all about here in these episodes where I'm a travel agent and we talk about those trips that you've always wanted to take, but just have never gotten around to taking. And we love making those kinds of memories come true. And so that's what we are talking about. Now, on an African safari, of course, Africa is a very large place, and there are lots of places within Africa that you can actually go on safari. But perhaps the heart of safari land would be Kenya. It's best known and probably most famous for the safari experiences and the many reserves and national parks that they have available. So we're going to be talking a lot about that today. Now, if you are thinking about going on a safari, one of the first questions that we often get asked by our clients is, okay, when is the best time to go? And that depends a lot on the experiences you want to have on safari. Safaris are not like, a cookie cutter experience. It's something we customize to every client based on the animals you want to see, based on the experiences you want to do, based on your even availability or just what you've always kind of dreamed of for this experience. That really has to be customized, and that can affect the time of year. So one of the things that a lot of people want to do is see the Great Migration. And if they're going to see the wildebeest migration that comes up out of Tanzania and into southeast Kenya, you'll have to go, usually July to September is kind of prime viewing time for the Great Migration. So if you're thinking that particular experience, you'll want to go then. But of course, if you're a scuba diver and you want to incorporate that into your trip, you would go a different time of year. So for the best visibility in the water. So there's just different aspects and nuances that really have to be custom fit to your trip. But most people find themselves looking at a trip during the summertime, especially if you're thinking of making this a family vacation, which is an awesome memory-making family kind of vacation to do with kids. We do recommend it's a little bit older child that tends to go on this trip. So we would say 8 and above. But it's a fabulous thing to do as a multi-generational family and to really experience this Africa heartlands together, making memories, seeing these animals. It's just an incredible experience. So when you go, you'll really need to fit to your group or to your family, or maybe if it's a honeymoon after your wedding, that may affect the time that you go. But whenever you go, you will find that it is just, this it's hard to walk away from that experience and not just be in awe of how amazing it is, because it is so beautiful. And today we're talking about some of the ways that you're going to not only love your safari, but 7 ways that you can kind of experiences that up level your safari experience that you'll want to make sure that you have on your list if you're going to go do this. So let's talk about the first one, which is, of course, now everybody wants to do safari, right? To see the animals. It's a big deal, right? To go see these. And if you're familiar with Kenyan safaris, you'll know that there's the Big Five. And so let's take a look at some pictures of the Big Five. When you go on safari, it'll look a little bit like this here. This is of the Masamari in Southeast Reserve, and this is one of the most famous reserves, and you can see the kind of little vehicle going here. And one thing we would tell you that you should definitely do as an up-level to your safari experience, and especially if you are going as a family, is to go and do a private safari. Now, a lot of those vehicles, like you just saw there, are a shared vehicle, and so that may be a great experience if you're trying to meet other couples traveling, or maybe you're a solo traveler and you would prefer to do that. But if you're traveling with a small group, it's great to make that a private experience. So that whole car is just filled with your group. And it really just ups the memories, and it's just such a special, intimate way to get to experience your safari. So make sure that if that's not what you want, that's something that you plan on doing, would be to have a private safari vehicle. Now, the big five, okay, are the elephant, okay, and I have a huge soft spot for elephants. I just think they're beautiful creatures. So you have the elephant, okay, the buffalo, here he is. All right, the leopard. Now this guy over here, he is actually the hardest of the big five to see. He is a bit tricky, and I know many experienced safari goers who have had a hard time seeing the leopard. He's the sneakiest, but he's one of the big five. And then we'll pull up, of course, the lion, right? The predators and the prey out here on safari, just absolutely majestic to get to see them. And then the rhino, okay? Now, of course, those are the big five, but you'll see many, many other kinds of animals on safari, including things like this hippo, okay? There's definitely legs in certain areas where they congregate, and it's just really cool. Not only that, but you'll see, of course, wildebeests and zebras. There's giraffes. There's all manner of birds. That's just full of animals. But the big five are why a lot of people go. They want to see this, and so to see them the best, a private safari vehicle is amazing because you can really custom tailor it to your group. Now, second thing that you want to consider when doing a safari would be like this. I'll pull up a picture here because it's just this amazing, this right here. Isn't that cool? You can do a hot air balloon ride to totally see, this area from a different direction. And so what happens is you get up really early in the morning and, maybe have a really light breakfast, and before the sun rises, and you're off, and they light up this, the huge fire within that balloon, and it pulls up, and it's going to take you up above the plains so that you can see the animals. And I've heard of people, coming back with just amazing stories of how like a cheetah is like running alongside their balloon, and you can just see like every muscle of the cheetah going in it, and they see it from such a different vantage point, right? It's one that, we love being up close in the vehicle, but to see it from the air up above and to get the movement of the animals in that direction is a totally different feel. It's a wonderful way to celebrate a special anniversary or birthday or moment. It really, truly is worthy of adding to your safari. And there's different locations throughout Kenya where that can be added, but if that's something that's important to you, you should definitely let your travel advisor know so that they can make sure that you're at a place where that is easily accessible. But it's just an incredible experience. Some people don't know you can do it, and you definitely want to add it on your safari. Now, next up, something you might not think of when doing a safari would be the sunsets. Beautiful sunrises, beautiful sunsets. But at sunset, most of the resorts will have something called a sundowners, which is where you sit and you watch the sunset after a wonderful day of going and seeing game, and you have a lovely drink or beverage from the bar, and you're just sitting around talking about these amazing things you've done that day and what you've seen and your favorite pictures you took, and just really enjoying and soaking up this experience. And so it's not just about the animals. You can see this beautiful acacia tree here. It is about the total immersive experience of being in this beautiful landscape. So we highly recommend a sundowner experience. And then shortly after that, we would tell you right here, see, isn't that beautiful? You get away from all of the city lights, and the stars and the night sky are just amazing on safari. So not to be missed, after sundowners, our fourth experience that you really want to make sure you incorporate is all these different landscapes. And you can actually do a bush dinner out under the stars like that in the evening. And to get out and really fully experience that beautiful night sky, it's something you should definitely add to your itinerary. And you just get these amazing vistas, whether it's that star, whether it's the sunset, or whether you're seeing something like here, we have the Amboseli National Park, and this one is located within sight distance of Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro is actually in Tanzania, but you can see it from this park, and so you get these absolutely beautiful landscapes. And a lot of the resorts actually are perched up high on a cliff or other areas that allow you to kind of see the rolling hills lay out before you. So even though you want to see the animals, and whether you're seeing them from a hot air balloon ride or your private safari vehicle, you really want to make sure that you just sit and soak up these beautiful vistas. It'll surprise you that it'll be one of your favorite parts because it really just is that beautiful. Now, One of the things I had mentioned it before that people don't necessarily know to incorporate would be the Great Migration. I'll pull up a photo here of that. Okay, the Great Migration happens as the animals come north from Tanzania. The wildebeest and the zebra are following the summer rains, and they will come up here following the green grass after the rain to eat and to go through, and they come into Kenya into this reserve, and you can watch them move in just thousands of numbers, and they'll have to cross the Mara River. And so oftentimes your guides will take you and position you where you can see these animals crossing the river, fighting through crocodiles. Predators are waiting on the other side, and it's just, definitely National Geographic material to get to see this. And like I had said, that migration follows a certain pattern. If you want to see it on the Kenya side, you'll want to be looking for a trip during July to July to October. But if you want to see other portions, like within Tanzania, as they migrate in a cycle through those parks, you can go to other spots during other times of the year to see different things. But crossing the river here in Kenya is just an amazing experience that you'll want to make sure, if that's important to you, that you don't miss. Now, after all these beautiful sunscapes and landscapes and the stars, and you're just soaking up Africa, one thing that you may want to consider, just as a surprising experience, would be where you're staying on safari. Now, sometimes people don't think about, I'm here to see the animals, I'm here for this experience. But where you stay can bring about some really surprising experiences just like this. There are certain camps, like this one that's pictured here, that don't have natural borders or fences. And so you literally have animals walking through the property, sometimes perhaps causing a little mischief here as the elephants joined these guests for lunch. But there are some really open, amazing ways that you can do that. Readily there are permanent camps that are, the tented camping experience, and glamping would be a very appropriate word for it, that are stationed throughout different places and different parks throughout Kenya. There's a mobile tented camp, which is a little bit more rustic, and those actually go, where the animals are. And you may be thinking, well, then that's what I want. Well, a lot of the permanently tented camps, or the luxury lodges, which are more structured, less canvas, those are often located in prime locations where they're near a river or overlooking a river, or they're near a salt lick, or they're near other things that make them advantageous all the time for seeing animals. So while the mobile tents are very much an up-close and personal experience of kind of trekking and following the animals, the others, even though they are more permanent and don't necessarily move, are in natural locations with great viewing for the animals. So it really depends on, I guess, how many creature comforts you want as well. Like, if flushing toilets are important to you, there's going to be certain places you're going to want to stay and others you won't. But they have everything from, like I said, the mobile, nomadic tent scenario, all the way to 5-star luxury lodges. So really picking the right place for you, what's going to be comfortable at the end of the day. And a lot of these lodges or these tented camps are destinations unto themselves. The safari is not always the main attraction. They have beautiful vistas, wonderful dining experiences. The rooms, you can have tented camps where you're laying in bed and it's open and you can see the rolling hills pulling out before you and catch the sunset right from your bed. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So these are not to be missed. And some people on safari don't realize you will spend some time in these locations, as you might have a morning or an afternoon game drive, but you'll take a break in between or take a break after. And that will be at the lodge or at wherever you're staying. And so you'll want to make sure that you do really enjoy where you're staying, because it will be part of the experience. And we think it can just totally up level. And one thing, this is a tip, and it's also one of our things that you cannot miss, would be making sure you stay at least one location, because you can often on safari do several different locations or different preserves or reserves or national parks throughout the area. But you'll want to stay at least once at a place that it's a private conservatory. So some of these farms were farms historically turned into private conservatories for animals that are often part of or right on the border of these parks and reserves. And what that allows you to do is actually have some different rules for your safaris, including something that's called a night safari or a night drive, which means you can go out in the evening and see a totally different side of the animals, totally different activity level for the animals. And so it's just if you're going to go all of that way, getting to have that experience is amazing. And you can do some more off-roading type things in these locations that you cannot do necessarily in some of the more common ones. And at peak seasons, you'll also notice that some of the more popular parks and reserves, there's a lot of people on safari. There'll be a lot of cars. And for some people, that takes away from the experience. They wanted something a little bit quieter and a little bit more private as they're trying to view, this bucket list trip. Well, those private conservatories only have vehicles from the lodges and things located on those conservatories. So that means it's just exclusive access, some different rules, up close and intimate, and you're away from the crowds trying to view things. So if that's really important to you, if you want that quieter, less crowded experience, definitely make sure you're staying in at least one location that's on a private conservatory. And we can help you tailor your trip to that if that's something that is of interest to you. So make sure you add a night drive to your list. And then lastly, number 7, things that may surprise you but that you definitely don't want to miss would be the local people. So here I have a picture of the Maasai, one of the most famous tribes in Kenya. And here they're doing a traditional dance, their famous jumping dance. And especially in the Masai Mara National Reserve, you can go and visit their villages. You can learn about their culture. You can purchase some of their handicrafts and see some of their, dances and learn all these different things, try their food. And they're just a welcoming, wonderful, wonderful part of Kenya, not to be missed. You should definitely spend a little bit of time at least getting to know them. And I think you'll find it is one of the most surprisingly pleasant parts of your trip. Because yes, you may have come to see all the big ferocious animals, but they'll steal your hearts. So it's really just amazing. And you can, if you're so minded, there are definite projects to help with local schools or other things that really help them build up their local community that you can participate in. As well as animal conservation projects that if that is important to you, you can be doing those as well. You can even foster adopt an elephant or other things that really help you feel like you're a part of what is going on in that experience in Kenya. It's just really, really beautiful and things that you can definitely add to your safari. So I hope you have enjoyed our 7 things that you should add to your trip, like private safari to see the big 5, catching the Great Migration, the hot air balloon ride, getting up over and seeing it from a totally different perspective. You can also do a plane in certain areas. Something to consider. Sundowners, having those drinks while watching the sunset, making sure you're getting those beautiful landscapes in like a bush dinner under the stars, as well as night drives on a private conservatory. Just an amazing way to see those luxury from a luxury property or a tented camp to go see some different sides of the safari, and making sure you make time, number 7, to see the amazing local culture of the different tribes that are around you. So if you are ready to tailor your custom safari, those actually get tailored about a year in advance. So if you're thinking of next year, make sure that you're in contact with us shortly to get going on your trip, to get the best in accommodations. A lot of these places are fairly small, and so they do run out of space. So make sure you're booking early, thinking early when you're planning this trip. Again, I am Mandy Horn with The Traveling Compass. You can find me at www.thetravelingcompass.com. You can also make sure you hit to subscribe, or if you want to get all of our best tips and tricks, as well as our best resources, make sure you go up into the description and click the link to sign up for our VIP newsletter that comes out once a week with all of the best in luxury travel. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been great to get to spend it with you, and I will see you again soon. Until then, travel smart.